Rainmaker Roundtable, How to Command the Market. My name is Fritz Pollard. I am privileged to be running the Coaching Nexus, our newly branded coaching company as of the day after Memorial Day. Long time coming, but we're finally here. And I will have to tell you, we are bringing things back that we're getting good traction. It's probably been about 6 months that we've been out, and slowly but surely, as I hear surveys come back from current clients, former clients, this digital mastermind was something that a lot of you saw value in. So we are here today. I've got an action-packed set of mastermind topics. I will tell you, you are driving the show today. That's what a mastermind is. I'm going to sprinkle a couple of ideas at you. You're going to get to pick. We're actually going to take a quick vote on what we mastermind on today. However, while we're waiting for folks to join, I'm going to quickly ask our coaches so that you are visible and seen. If you could please change your name either to TCN or the Coaching Nexus. And for everybody on this screen, if you hear some pearls of wisdom, if you get moved by a thought, a comment, or a topic, please personally message the coach that may have said that. If you want to reach out to them to take that conversation further, please do that. We also have Robin Aldo on the line. Robin, who's just changing her name there, is our business development rep. And by the way, if anyone's interested in coaching and doing a business audit, please reach out to Robin directly and she will take care of you. So good to have you back. Glad to get this thing back on the calendar. Let me give you a couple of more important dates that are upcoming. And we're just bringing as much value to the Go Network and of course KW agents and then eventually outside of KW. I want you to make a note of next Wednesday, June 25th, 1 o'clock Central. Next Wednesday, June 25th, 1 o'clock Central, it'll be our second presentation of the Coaches Performance Series, always on the fourth week of the month. I did the first one. By the way, you'll see it in the chat. I did the first one in May, The Art and Science of Pricing. We got a lot of good feedback on that. We had over 100 people registered, so I felt like we kind of hit a hot topic. We are dropping that recording into the chat, so we don't necessarily need to mastermind on pricing today. Now, again, it is your call, and if we have to, we will, but I'm going to highly, highly suggest that you grab that link to that presentation, review it. And by the way, if you need to reach out to me on any of that, please do so, but that really landed well. And then at the end of that meeting, we surveyed all of you, and you said you wanted lead gen next. And let's see, Mitch, are you on? Mitch, is Mitch on yet? Don't see Mitch. So you'll see the flyer for lead generation that actually works. He's going to put a little bit of spin on the repetitious boredom that lead gen has connected to it. And I think what you're really going to do is find a new perspective in how to lead gen productively and with profit in mind. So don't miss that on the 25th. Then for who here is in New Mexico? Bueller. Oh, we got Kara Shugs in New Mexico. I am going to be in New Mexico on July 30th and 31st, doing a live mastermind in all three of the New Mexico market centers, Albuquerque, Santa Fe, and we're going to be bringing the live mastermind back. Not monthly, we'll probably be doing it quarterly, but let's write that date down, and then we will be back in. We will be back in Dallas at Metro North. Preston, I think, is it Preston Metro North, Shelby?
Metro North. Yes, yeah. Metro North.
We will be there for our large coaching event one day on September 25th. We are going to have an emphasis on AI. We will have an AI panel. We will have an AI workshop. And we will have an AI mastermind. How do we get AI working for us in the real estate space? I don't care about any other space, in our space. So that gets us through September. Thought I would take this opportunity to share. And if you could also, Shelby, drop in the chat the website. Our website launched with the new branded information on Monday. Hey, Vinny, how are you doing? And if you could just do a quick share screen, Shelby, and show them where all of the events are posted. This thing is going to start to fill up with a lot of the things that I just described. And you'll know one-stop shop where you need to go to get all details on that information.
So yes, it is our training tab on the coach. So come to the upcoming training. Right now there's 2, and by the end of the day, everything that Fritz just said will be here with registration links.
And then that way, if you go, geez, I wonder what the Coaching Nexus is doing today or this month, you can go there and have more information that you need. And again, reach out to any of the coaches on the screen, reach out to Rob and Aldo, and we are here to support you. We are going to be surveying, though, you at the end of this meeting to tell us how we can make this better. So we are surveying everybody. We want to meet you where you're at. We want to be the aspirin to people's headaches, and we're going to do that through surveys. So get ready. We'll pop that up on the screen as we wrap up today, and you can tell us what you need. All right. Probably should stop and say, any questions on anything I've shared thus far? Everybody's good. I love it. Okay, so I surveyed this week a dozen coaches, which represented almost all of our Coaching Nexus clients. In that group were team leaders. So now we've got hundreds of agents behind that survey. Some were OPs, and many were working agents in the field as we speak. Here are the 3 topics that led the charge. I want you to write them down in order because you're going to tell us what we need to spend time on today. So we've probably got a good 1,000 agents in this survey, but you're going to tell me what you want to focus on. So number 1 was burnout. Not number 1 like I heard it more. That's just what we're going to call number 1, burnout. I think that could also show up as frustration. It could show up as anxiety. It could show up on a bleak outlook on the world. In your real estate business, anything tied to that. That we're going to call topic number 1. Number 2, what I heard is the buyer rep agreement and the agent establishing their value when literally just a year ago, the listing, the seller, the listing agent told you what you were worth. Maybe that made it easy. Now we have to decide on our own. And that seemed to be, this came from a team leader. They've got a lot of feedback around this. So if we need to work on that, that's going to be topic 2 that you're going to vote on. Now, this third one is going to go a little bit differently. And maybe after we get a few of these under our belt, I kind of hope that this becomes a directive that we maybe focus on long term. Like this will not be just one call, this will be a series. But watch this. If you were preparing your business for sale, a year from today, what changes must you begin making today? So if you were preparing your business for sale a year from now, on June 20th, signed, sealed, delivered, someone bought it, what changes would you need to begin making today? Now, that could include everything we just discussed, and it's a little bit broader topic, which is why I would suggest maybe it's something that we would make a reoccurring theme, but it's your call. All right, in the chat, Shelby and Kim are trained visual calculators. They've got like a certificate. Please put in the chat the number one thing you want to mastermind on to open today. Is it number one, burnout? Is it number two, value of the buyer agent and the buyer rep agreement? Or is it number three, preparing your business to be sold? So we have a 3. Trevor says 3. Holy smokes, look at all these people. We've got a 2. By the way, if we get to more, if we finish one topic, we'll move to the next. Okay, burnout. Okay, make sure you get your, we got almost 30 of you. And I know some of the coaches hold back on your opinion of the world. So my certified number visual counters.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. I think it's a tie between 3 and 1 right now is what I'm seeing.
Oh boy. Who knew we'd have a tie right out of the gate? Okay, so hold off on 2. Now you get to vote on, is it 3 or is it 1? Ready, go in the chat. Burnout is number 1. Number 3 is if you were preparing your business for sale a year from now, what would you need to start doing today?
1. Well, goodness.
Who knew this would be the toughest part of the call?
Yeah, we got to figure out a better system for this for next call.
Looks like number 3 just took the lead by 1.
Okay, so listen, why don't we do this? We've got 45 minutes. And by the way, I would prefer to, end a few minutes early, get you your Friday back. We also are going to do the survey real quick. That will be online or on the screen. Why don't we start with 3 and maybe go max 20 minutes, and then we'll finish up on burnout. Now, I have a lot of coaches on this call that are expert in things like this, like they've coached people to sell their businesses. They have coached people through burnout. Guess what? We've gone through the same thing. I mean, we aren't immune from this. So let's start with, if you needed to prepare your business to be sold in a year, what would you start working on now? Coaches, hold your thoughts on that. I want to hear what we need to improve in our teams. What is it? Starting today.
This is where we come off mute and talk to each other.
I would say systems.
Ooh, systems. All right, let me drill into that a little bit. Was that Vinny?
Yep.
God, I love Vinny. So systems, that's going to be a big one across the board. However, Vinny, when you look at your business, let's be transparent here. We're all human, and we've all got areas of our business that could improve. What system would you call number 1 that needs improvement?
I'd say intake of new customers.
Okay, intake.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a system now?
I do.
Oh, beautiful. Rated on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being so good you could share it with this group and they'd follow you forever.
4, because
4.
I'm the system, and this is the bueno.
Hey, you know what? I think we're going to figure out the burnout thing when we figure out some of this. So Vinny's the system. I love it. Okay. All right, let's get a few topics on the table. So I think system probably checks a couple boxes. What else? This thing's you got a year to get it cleaned up. What am I seeing there, Trevor? Org structure?
Yes.
Trevor, could you come off mute real quick and give us a little bit more context around that as it relates to you?
Yeah, I mean, just roles and responsibility, who's doing what. I think clarity in every business is key. And, we have a lot of people that do a lot of things, but I think that's something I've always looked at, is just, what's the most successful way we can do this to where I'm not the one that has to lead the engine. So for me to sell it, there's got to be a system and people and roles that I'm not the one driving.
Listen to the commonality already between Trevor and Vinny. Are you the person for everything? We'll get into that. Coaches, get ready, because I'm going to ask you to weigh in a bit. Let me just ask you this, and please forgive me, but these are things that are stepping stones to address this. Trevor, how many people on your team?
9 people on the team and 1 admin.
I love it. Do you have an org chart that's printed and they're all on there?
No.
Okay, so line item number 1. Number 2, do you have job descriptions for everybody?
We've done it in the past, but we're not working off of that. So no.
We got a year.
I know we got a year. So I mean, we're starting now.
Yeah. By the way, I'm going to ask who wants to buy Trevor's business today, because it's going to be really expensive in a year once we get all this dialed in. Yeah, we just got to figure out what Trevor would do once the team is sold. Okay, so org chart, job descriptions. Are you meeting with them one-on-one on a regular basis, coaching them?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, good. That's a big part. All right, I love it. So we've got intake, we've got organizational chart structure. What else, gang? Think of your team. We're selling it in a year.
Fritz, do you see Phyllis's comment, database cleanup?
Ooh, that's a biggie. By the way, it's the book of business you're selling. Okay, database cleanup. I'm sorry, who was that?
Phyllis, up here.
Phyllis, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. How many people in your database?
That's a good question. I'd say about 800.
Okay. Do you have a touch campaign?
Yes, a little one. And we're working on that now.
Okay. If we were all in the restaurant business, we would be talking about our return clients, because they love our chef, they love our menu. That's what we are selling.
Right.
Gary calls it the data bank. So that's got to be addressed, and we can improve that. That makes us drastically more valuable in a year. Okay, let's get a couple more on the table, and then let's start solving some of this, because I think you'd all agree we all have a little bit of some of this. Okay, 2 more. Coaches, jump in. You've got clients in the same boat.
I would just say really have their financials dialed in like there's nobody's business, having their leverage systems dialed in like there's nobody's business, like things you don't even have to think about. They're just operationally continuing as we go. I mean, like with Trevor's business, his number one outside of generating business for him has got to be managing his people process best. The number one thing that's going to kill a business if you don't do it right, aside from the numbers, are the people. And if they don't share your values, as a matter of fact, Coach, when you were coaching me years ago, Fritz, and we were building my team, one of the key things you said to me was making sure that the people who I bring into my world and business match the same values that I have. They don't have to be the same personality. They don't have to do the same work. And their values must be aligned with my values, which are aligned with my clients' values. So mastering the people part is ultimately critical.
I'll tell you, this call may go on for 4 weeks. I'm just preparing you. We got a lot to cover.
Can I share something really quick about the people? Real thing.
Yeah.
I got a great
Yeah,
story.
go ahead, Mitch.
This. So when you're thinking about in terms of selling, so years ago, my wife and I started business together probably 18, 19 years ago. And after 2 years of doing the business, because she operated it, she was done. I'm tired. I need to sell this business. I can't keep doing this, blah, blah, blah. And I'd known that she had created a job, not a business, but you can't coach your spouse really well. And so I said, fine. We found a buyer. And the year before, she'd made like $125,000 gross. We found a buyer at $60,000. And during the due diligence, the buyer backed out. Why do you say? Because he told me that when he bought the business and my wife left, she is the business or was the business. So we spent the last several years, 18 years, working on the things that she would need to do. Last year, our reportable income was like 1.5. Now, she would like to be a baker full time because that's her passion. And I said to her, I said, well, we should sell the business and buy a bakery. And you know what her response was? Why would I do that? Why? Because she no longer has a job. She has a business which can function a great deal without her doing everything. So thinking in terms of if you're going to prepare to sell, oftentimes means you prepare to leverage, which means you might not necessarily want to sell. You just need to be able to be in a position to have the luxury to do so if you choose so.
Yeah, and I think what's so important about that, I always use Oprah Winfrey. When you're the Oprah Winfrey show and you want to exit, how do you pull that off? Oh, by the way, mornings with Oprah Winfrey, except she's not there. But so often we've not properly replaced who we are, filled those shoes. And so, Mitch, I love the story there. So
that's
an
kind
ego
of a thing too, by the way,
yeah.
Fritz. A lot of times people get sucked into the ego. They sucked into, Gary said a long time ago in the MREA, people don't hire us for us. They hire us for the standards that we create and keep with the people who are with us. So that's what we have to focus on. What are their standards? And they come from the values. They come from the right people. You create the systems and the values that your clients and customers can count on. It doesn't have to be you. As a matter of fact, it should not be you, because there are people who can keep those values and standards better than you can. So that's what's important there.
That can be a wake-up call. Okay, so what I'm hearing in that is and by the way, when you have quick turnaround in your teams, it's usually a values conflict. We're not in harmony. But when you don't know what they are, how do we hire to them? And we wonder why we've got the revolving door and we're constantly training new people. Okay, one more.
There's a big one
Bridget?
missing.
Yes, go ahead.
There's a big one missing, and that is your overall internet presence and heft. If you're going to sell your business a year from now, you need to do a serious, full internet audit to see the presence of the company, because anyone in today's market that would look to buy your business, they are going to do a deep dive on your entire internet presence. So it's
go
really
ahead,
critical.
Bridget. Well, and by the way, Bridget is helping us. Has anyone seen the Coaching Nexus kind of like all over the place all of a sudden? Are you starting to see it out there? Okay, we are working on that right now, optimizing social media algorithms, all of this stuff that I thought I was going to be able to retire and not ever worry about. I'm right smack dab in the middle of it. So it's helpful to understand the power of that in your world. And we've got people here that can help with that. Okay, so let me repeat what I've got. Maybe we drill a little bit into each of these. Clients, I'd like to know where, or Go Network folks, I'd like to know where you've had success around some of these things. And coaches, please dive in. Okay, let's talk about client intake. What would be some great pearls of wisdom around client intake? It's a pretty important part of what we do all day. Thoughts, feedbacks, quick fixes? Looks like Vinny broke the call. Vinny, you've stumped us.
Just tell him my pain. Just tell him my pain.
Are we feeling Vinny's pain? So listen, for some of the coaches on the call, you guys have big teams. Bottom line is building your business. Okay, so Darren, can you come off of a mute maybe and share? You're obviously OP. You're running an additional outside business. How do we get some of these systems, specifically intaking clients, dialed in?
Yeah. So, I mean, when I said it's about a predictable business, right? So everything we've talked about for the value for a buyer is that I was thinking about it this way: what would happen if I got hit by a bus tomorrow? And if my business is so dependent on me, then I don't have something that's saleable. But if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, are my processes, my systems, and my people such that the business could continue to operate at the level that it was? In fact, quite often, what I'd find out is it probably does more better than it does if than when I'm there. Yeah, and that's what that is. And so everything. So when we talk about like it is about getting clear about the values that you hold and the way that you do things. It's the standards that we set for how we do every piece of this in our intake. What is our standard? Do I have if I've got a team with buyers agents on it, do they do the exact same buyer consultation for every buyer that we have an opportunity to sit down in front of? And have we practiced it and rehearsed it? And so it's whether I sit down with them or somebody else on the team sits down with them, they're going to have the exact same consultation. That's the key to this. And I think too often we like to be creative, and creativity doesn't sit in this at this point as we're building it. It's about predictability. And that's where, and if I can demonstrate that, and to Mitch's point, my financials, they have to be so spot on that I know that again, that can continue to deliver that value to the next buyer if they follow the system we've developed.
Agreed. And Vinny, what I want to go back to, and by the way, this might even be a minor action plan solution. Vinny, if I walked into your office and I said to you, I was on a call and I heard you had the best buyer, seller, client intake process in the industry, what would you show me? How would you describe it? Could I see it?
Could you say one time, Fritz?
Yeah. So if I were to walk into your office and ask you to see your client intake process, like demonstrate it for me, show it to me, what would I see?
I guess as an owner, you see flaws. We have it, but I see, that it can be tweaked. You see a system or follow up, how to start to finish, what we can do, examples of.
Okay. Is it in writing?
It is.
Okay. How often are you reviewing it?
Not often enough.
Who on your team knows it's in writing?
Oh, the whole team knows it, but can execute it.
Okay. So and Kevin, I'm coming to you. I'm here to tell you what probably solves almost every hot topic here is it in writing, number one? How often are you reviewing and refining? And then as a team, how often are you discussing it? What Darren said, what Mitch said, I think is super important. What if we were gone? Vinny, God bless that you maybe you buy a bakery and you're not there anymore. Would they know what to do? Would they know where to go find it? So I think if we all said step one today, we've got to start converting our systems into writing, reviewing it regularly, evaluating it regularly, and at the end of the day, we're sharing it with everyone on the team. It's got to be in a binder that if I walked into your office and I said, let me see your lead gen plan, whoop, page 34, here it is. What do you want to know about it? Now by the way, we're heading to getting people educated on your values. If it's in writing, at least they have something to look at. Bill, I'm coming to you next. Kevin, thought.
Yeah, I think one of the big questions to all three of these categories is what's the experience and the value at the end of that. So if I have a good process in place for intake, is that creating a value back to my client? If I'm going to sell my business, am I creating a value to the next owner? So taking all these things, that intake is not so much about the process of we could all make an A, B, C, D, E checklist. But if those items are bringing a value back to the client, the average first-time home buyer is now 38 years old. And that generation will sacrifice money for experiences and convenience. So is our value and is our intake of that client creating a value to that person, they're going to stick with us. And I think that's really the key point to keep in mind when you're developing that intake is there any value to my client? Or am I just creating a system for the sake of a system?
You know what's so great about that, Kevin, is Vinny, we find that out by doing what? How do we know if we're creating value to the client?
Asking more questions, surveys.
We're doing surveys. Just like I told you, I want to meet all of you where you're at and make your lives better. We're going to survey you to make sure we're not missing the mark. Do the same thing. So it's got to be in writing. It's got to be reviewed regularly. It's got to be shared with the team and possibly surveyed often. See how we're doing. Bill Crespo.
Yes.
You were raising your hand, I think.
No, yes, I do. I have something to say. So, my coach that I hired years ago talked about something to raise the value. So yeah, you have all those internal systems, but then again, you've got to have a price, right? I'm a sales guy. We're looking at how to sell that. You're selling your business. A couple of things. One is this thing called IP. If you want to raise the value of your business, you need to have good IP. Does anybody know what IP is? Intellectual property. So just something simple. So let's say you have a selling system. It's got to be called something. So it's yours. The seller advantage system, the buyer advantage system, whatever it may be, a program. You name it something and it provides more value to the value of the entire business. It's like the mistake that agents do is, hey, I'd like to come over and talk to you about listing your home. What if you came in and said, hey, I'd like to come over and talk to you about my seller advantage system or whatever you want to call that thing. It raises the value, listen, they do this to us on television all day long to us. They call it something to raise the value. I sold Virginia Papovich in North Carolina. We sold her business. We did that. And then the other side of the coin is remember in the old days, Fritz, people actually paid cash for agents' business. I know, Mitch, Darren, you probably remember this too. I mean, they actually had money to pay. Now they don't have money to pay for this business. So now you have to spread it over a course of time. So you're really selling value to the business. So this person, this heir apparent stays with you. You know, you're getting a little bit of cash, and over the next 3 to 4 years, you're spreading over. But my suggestion would be to call your internal systems a thing so that it's perceived to be more value to the buyer.
I love that. So we're building a binder. It's got all the systems. A new term I heard a couple of weeks ago, workflows. That's your lead generation, lead intake, workflow. The title of it is going to be the title of the chapter in your binder. So Vinny, real quick, what are we calling your intake system? Let's name it.
Money flow.
Ooh. And then if we were in the military, that would eventually be MF. So how's our MF doing today? So now that's part of our culture. Just by naming it, Bill. I love that concept. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I use MF, but maybe something.
Yeah, I get it. I thought of that as I was saying it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk organizational. By the way, did you get something that you can extract? Because I think on a lot of chapters or a lot of little dominoes we need to knock down, what we just discussed with Vinny applies. In writing, reviewed regularly. We can survey it, going over it with the team, and we're naming it. I think that applies to a lot of things to getting our business ready for a year from now. Any questions? Okay, we're going to Trevor. Let's talk about that organizational structure. I asked Trevor a couple questions. Is it on an org chart? He said yes. Job descriptions. Did you say yes on that one?
Yes on job description, no on org chart.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so we got to get everyone on our org chart. So by the way, what does an org chart give you the ability to do a year from now? You draw it up today. What's it going to have on there, hypothetically, a year from now?
Start replacing myself.
Okay. So, sometimes we've got vacant circles. Because as we start getting all this down, who will you need a month from now? Who will you need 90 days from now? Who will you need 6 months from now? And at some point, the circle next to you is also likely void. But by the way, what does your title change to? Are you going to stay in the business as a silent partner? Are you in your RV like Kara, driving all over the country, living the good life? Seeing the campsite she's in, it's amazing. So we got to know. Okay, so talk to me, coaches or clients, about organizational charts, tips and tricks.
Well, I always think my org chart's kind of like designing my Disney. Like I'm looking towards the future, and one of the things around the sale of a business, I know, Fritz, you're talking about 1 year from now. To really do this correctly, the planning really takes more time than that. If you want to do an exit that allows you the income that you want for the sale of that business, it's probably a 3 to 5 year process. But that's where that org chart becomes so powerful, because you can sit and contemplate, what does this look like 3 years from now? And what does it look like 5 years from now? And then you start asking the who. As I start creating the structure, you're absolutely right. I have on my org chart circles that don't have names in them. So between now and then, I've got a plan for who my next key hire is going to be to get me to that spot that gets me to that sale price that I really that I'm looking for the value of this business.
I'd like to add to that if I can.
Please,
because I think
please.
What you do is twofold when you start putting those roles on your org chart that don't actually have names. The first thing you do is you probably put it out there and share it with your existing team, allowing them permission to start thinking about building a bigger world for themselves within your world, right? Because the right people are going to want to work with us because we've given them an opportunity to build a big world, right? And if they can see that within our desire for growth, that we help promote their growth, we may have somebody who's going to be an excellent this, and they're currently doing that. So we give them permission to dream a little bit on that and permission to pursue that. The other thing it does for us, I think, is it puts into our reticular activator what it is that we're looking for. So our brain is constantly filtering, right? Do we want it to filter really good and healthy stuff for us, or do we just want it to filter the TV shows? And I say that in all seriousness, if you have the right reticular activator programming, you are unconsciously going to be constantly looking at every person, place, and thing to see if it helps meet the goal that you're looking to accomplish. And you'll be doing it unconsciously. So the org chart coupled with very clear role descriptions, the missing person report, as Gary says, having absolute clarity about that, mastering that for yourself, that reticular activator will help you achieve it faster because you will find them faster. They'll show up when you don't even expect them to.
And let me go for a minute to what Trevor was talking about. He's doing one-on-ones. When you have an org chart and developing humans, you might actually turn some of that one-on-one into what's the next role you're seeking in this growing metropolis. But it's all there. It's there. It could be visualized. The other thing that I think is super important when we're doing org charts, I used to put all kinds of little notations. I'd rank and rate each of the people. Where did they need help in what area? But I think you also need to understand you earn the right to bring someone else on when your production gets to a certain level. Do not bring on a ton of people just because you go, oh my God, the year begins now. They're added when you've earned the right through production. So maybe around one circle that may be a buyer's agent, could be a listing specialist, could be another admin. When you get to put in and around the circle, the volume level where when achieved opens the door and the right to bring them on. That's leverage brought on through earning it through production and staying profitable. Okay, so we got to get the org chart built. We've got to get, the projected future view of things. Maybe some production targets. What else on an org chart? Because it's so important, the people are going to be the ones that pull the sled once you've moved on. Did we miss anything?
Fritz, I think that the other side of it too, and I'm sure you guys are using all kinds of personality testing. I'm a DISC guy, and almost putting in, we talk about the halo interviews, or the people that you just love. When you love someone, it's probably the wrong person to bring in, depending on that position. So you just got to understand, what is that personality type that you want to have in that position too, would be actually really good. Then you get a solid team working in those positions, whether it be a high I, high C, whatever you want. I think that's important too, to understand what personality style do you want in that position.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but our industry is fraught with, well, I really like them.
I love them.
Like and love. And a few weeks later, we're not liking and loving them anymore. And we don't really have a lot of history to lean on. Okay, here's what I'd like to do. Let's tackle database real quick, because I think that is, what are we doing here? Are we doing the quiz already?
I jumped the gun. Sorry.
Gosh, you're so jumpy, and I love it. So hold the thought there. Real quick on database. If coaches or clients could give this great group 3 absolute musts to getting our databases organized, what are they? What's 1, 2, 3?
In the chat or out loud?
Out loud preferred.
All right, number 1, take whatever size your database is right now, double it by New Year's Eve, and come up with a mini GPS to achieve that in a way that is strategic and meaningful.
Hold on. Are we getting to 2? Because that's a lot in 1.
Yeah, you know me. I was going to bullet point 3 of them out.
All right, because what she
Don't
said
make me
there
go slow.
is life-changing. So do you have a goal for where you want your database to be? If anyone was
now.
in
Their goal is, whatever it is today, it will be double by New Year's Eve.
And so when I was out, Darren and I were out doing the mastermind in Dallas in April, we heard a lot of that. And we said that very thing. What is it going to be? What's the target that you're showing up and doing? One of the clients that was there actually added to their tracker how many people they added each week. Yeah. That's all they did.
It's got to be mission critical. Yes. Number 2.
What you're selling. Yeah, go ahead.
Number 2, you must have a way of tracking within your database the gross closed income from the person in the profile, including their primary sales and any referral business they have given to you. Err on the side of caution. If you met with someone and they're like, oh, so-and-so told me, include it, because that means they're part of your referral army. That monetization, being able to say how much money was earned from that database with the marketing done, is part of what you're selling. And number 3, make it a team activity. If this is something where you have a team, create some energy and fun around not just increasing and refining the database, but also engaging with it at a higher level for at least the next 12 weeks. Create a fun summer project for the next 12 weeks that you all can engage on. If you're a solo agent, do it with yourself and share it with some ALC members or your team leader. When you write it down, you'll make it happen. And when you share it, it'll happen even more often. So write it down, share it with others, and make it happen, whether you're solo or you're a team.
I love this. Okay, because I speak high D, I am going to interpret at a little slower space, because what she just said here is golden.
Mm-hmm.
We got to set a goal for where we want it to be at the end of the year. You must do that or it will not move. Number 2, equally as golden. We chase underperforming database people. Know what they are providing for you annually. They treat us differently. Some people are referring you all the time. You just don't know it. I mean, you know it, but you don't say, Joe Smith has referred me $200,000 in commissions. Those are AAAs. Treat them differently, please. But you got to know what they are. So whether it's in Command or any kind of database tracker you use, there's got to be a section around dollars earned lifetime for a client, so you can start treating them differently. Okay, just some important takeaways there. And by the way, we got to get full, you got to have complete records, name, address, phone, how much they've referred. And that can be those fun team projects. See how many of those that you can get filled in. 5 a week, 10 a week. You can move mountains over a year. But incomplete records, what is that? You can't sell that. Oh, hey, I've got 30,000 people in my database. No, you don't. You got 5,000 complete records. Your business isn't worth what you think. Hand is up, Bridget.
The only thing I will add to that is it does not have to be complete for you to start. You are going to fly the plane while you're building and polishing it. So my only hesitation, Fritz, is I love agents, but if they hear that, they'll hear, oh, well, all right, well, I won't start the campaign till I get all of the profiles completed, and then I'll do it. No, Betty Lou Bick Bick, stop it. You start with what you have. If you just have that name and address, over the course of time, your goal is to find the missing information. It doesn't mean that you stop. You continue working and engaging with the database right now. So I just had to throw that out there. I didn't want anyone to say, let me make it perfect and then I'll start. No, you're starting.
Well, that's what you do the team projects is you take the group that needs to be complete and that becomes the team project.
And make it fun. Gamify it.
All right. Again, I think this is a long-term discussion point with all of us, and I have no problem. We'll get it in the survey coming back here and picking up where we left off. I've got really good notes. But I think we've got enough to what you could start working on. We've got intake or systems. We got organizational charts in humans, and we have database. Those are 3 really important foundational steps to start working on. All right. I want to touch on one thing real quick because it was a close second, and that's burnout. Coaches, clients, again, we've got to get up and be ready to take on the day. And if we're not all there, that can be a tough road to hoe. Let's have maybe a 5-7 minute discussion on just how we are winning around burnout. And we might even call that mindset. Anyone want to share?
Fritz?
Yes. Melanie.
I would say in my years of coaching, the number one thing that I saw that assisted someone in having their mindset set strong is having a morning routine. Whether you're following the Miracle Morning, whether you're following Hal Elrod's, they're all the same. It's like having a 15 to 45 minute max morning routine to start your day and prep your mind and body in the most healthy and positive way possible.
We just got a fist pump out of Kara on that point, which is worth noting. So let me see a quick show of hands. Agents on the call right now, raise your hand if you have a morning routine. I don't care what it is, you've got one. Clients. Trevor, do you have yours hand up out of screen? No screen. Okay. So just real quick, because, we always got a lot of stuff going on. This book, go to the energy plan, page 308. 5 items: meditate, pray, exercise, eat, hug, kiss, and laugh, plan and calendar, lead generate. I don't care what your morning routine is, have one. Now, I've been watching Nicole. We're going to have Nicole's son do our morning workout plan. And I'm sure he's in your morning routine. But sometimes our morning routines then must start even earlier. It's why I had to start getting up at 4 a.m. and have done so for the last 20 plus years to get it all in. Anyone want to share a quick morning routine takeaways, like what you do that's cool and exciting?
I take a shower.
Thank God.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I think the other thing, Fritz, I just want to say that besides that, I didn't mean to jump off what you just said, but having something to do outside of real estate that has nothing to do with real estate is so important to get your brain do something. I don't care what it is, but you need time, whether it be gardening or, whatever. You just got to get out of there where you don't have to use your brain and be so stressed out about real estate all the time.
What's your release? Heck, I'm in church on Sunday. Guy goes to all these minister conferences. He heard the same thing. He said 3 different times. He said, that's when I knew God was speaking to me. Hey, you need to go play golf. I don't even know if he liked golf, but it was off the beaten path of running a mega church. So he joined a golf club and he's golfed ever since. He's a pretty good golfer. Different than your normal grind. Anna Marie. She's in the training room of 1.
Yeah, she's in the Santa Fe office. So you do have somebody else from New Mexico here. So
I love it.
She comes to all the masterminds, every one of them. She's
all awesome. I'm asking, turn that temperature down in July.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
We can.
Perfect. Yes, Carl, I think is our own personal coach here at Santa Fe. My morning routine is I like to get here to the office by 6 a.m. Or 6:30, especially now that we have all the daylight. I have an upright Steinway piano there, and I'm a pianist. I play classical music. And so that's my thing that I can do in the morning after, waking up at 4 in the morning and doing my other normal routine before I get here to the office. So I like to practice some Brahms sonatas or Chopin.
I love it.
Whatever I'm working on to get my mind.
Hey, on July 31st, maybe you can play for me. I would love to hear that.
Okay, I can do that.
Hey. Now, it's different. It's different. So what are you doing that's different? I'm going to challenge all of you one more thing. If I walked in and looked at your calendar, would I see it there? Because if not, it doesn't count. You're doing it when you get around to it. That doesn't work. So what are you doing that's different to recharge your head? And is it in the calendar? Deb, wrap us up on this topic.
All right, Fritz. So I was going to basically say similar. So many of my clients have this belief that if they're not doing, if they're not producing, if they're not on a call, if they're not busy doing work, that they're not being productive. And it's actually a misconception. And unfortunately, and like to your point, if you don't actually make time to just breathe and take a breath and a pause, even if you just give yourself 5 or 10 minutes a day, both in the morning and at night, you're actually doing yourself and your brain a disservice. So what ends up happening is when you're in downtime, when you're not in production, and you're actually able to take a breath and look at your business and your life from the big picture perspective, you actually get more creative. That's where when you have your ideas. How many of you have your best ideas in the shower, right? Or when you're on the bike or when you're walking. So if you're not giving yourselves that opportunity to take that moment and pause, you're not giving yourself the best opportunity to have those higher level strategic thoughts and ideas that help you to actually be more productive in the long run. So the idea of working smarter, not harder, it's real. It's a real thing. And absolutely 100% put time in your calendar.
Yeah, that creativity comes when you are out of the rat race. And Nicole, I'm going to look at you and just say, mom, business owner, you burn the candle at all ends. And it's almost more important for you to be aware of that. I go in the jacuzzi after every workout. I put the final touches on this call today in the 10 minutes while I was in the jacuzzi. I didn't stress about figuring this call out because I know I always solve the problems in the jacuzzi. And you would be shocked when you get in, all of the wisdom that comes rushing at me, it happens in that 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, before we get to the survey, by the way, if you want to reach out to any coach that shared something, find them in the chat. If you want to reach out and have a business audit, anything you loved here. I love seeing Tina Alders. Chatted with her last month. What a great agent. It's good to see you on the call. But if you want to reach out to any of our coaches, do it privately in the chat. Exchange information if need be. You can always reach out to the Coaching Nexus and we'll get you connected with those coaches. We've got Rob and Aldo on the call there to help. We've got our life coaches on the call, Carol and Kara. And I just, like, I could stay here almost all day. But we need to get you back to your world because we're selling your business in a year.